Okay, welcome back to Up Close with QP. Today in the QP office we have the Tudor Black Bay Chrono Dark. Now this is a pretty special watch from Tudor for a few different reasons. First of all, I think most significantly, this is Tudor's first proper limited edition. Now there have been special edition watches before, like the Black Bay Harrods edition, which is numbered but not officially limited, and of course there have been pure one-offs for only watch, but this is the first Tudor to be limited, although being Tudor, it's still not a normal limited edition in anyone else's sense. What this is a special watch produced to go with their partnership or sponsorship of the New Zealand All Blacks rugby team. Now, the nature of the limited edition partnership is there will be one of these watches made for every player to have ever represented New Zealand at first class rugby, international rugby. That is currently a number somewhere north of 1100. The watch we have here today is number 1115. It's the watch allocated to a Mr. Bowden Barrett. Now he is, as we record this, out in Japan for the Rugby World Cup, so hi Bowden, sorry, we've got your watch. So the details. Right, as you can see, it's all black. You see what they've done there for the All Blacks? Yes, black watch, brilliant. Okay, good, got it, move on. It is not, however, ceramic, as we might have thought when we recently saw Tudor's submission to Only Watch 2019, which is an all-black ceramic Black Bay. If you haven't seen that, it's beautiful. Check out our website for a quick look at that one. We've got hands-on pictures, the works. This, however, is stainless steel with a black PVD coating. I guess I had to say I was a little disappointed when I found that out. You might think that was done for price. It probably is. However, Tudor's done a black ceramic chronograph before, the Fast Rider, and brought that in at a perfectly reasonable price, as they always seem to do. So I don't know exactly why it couldn't have been done here. I can hazard a guess that it might be coming in the future, but who knows. The dial, obviously, has taken on a much colder, more monochromatic, more technical look. We have flashes of red here on that single line of text, which is the depth rating, and at the tip of the chronograph seconds hand. But otherwise, obviously when you compare this to the other Black Bays, most of them anyway, this one switches the gilt edging to the lume plots for rhodium, and it just gives it that slightly colder, more clinical look. The movement inside, which obviously you never see because the only Tudor in existence to have an open display caseback is the aforementioned Only Watch Black Bay, but the movement inside is what Tudor calls caliber MT5813, aka the B01 from Breitling, which Tudor signed a sort of swap deal to obtain a couple of years ago. It has a power reserve of 70 hours and it's a COSC certified chronometer. As you can probably tell already, to operate the chronograph you've got screw down pushers, as so. And it's a pretty decent, although not exactly stunning chronograph action. Quite firm there on the start and stop, and quite quick and smooth on the reset. On the wrist, I find it a pretty standard Black Bay experience. I already own a Black Bay, I know what that feels like. It's got a lot of chunky presence, it's got a lot of weight. You really do feel every gram of the watch on your wrist. It's a big case. Tudor's often been slightly criticised for the thickness of the case, and I think when they brought out the Black Bay 58, everyone said, well, that is the perfect size for a Black Bay, but nevertheless the rest of them stick with the 41mm case as seen here. I also have a couple of sort of long-standing niggles about the Black Bay which haven't changed for this one. For example, I find the clasp pretty uncomfortable if you're resting your hand down on a desk or table, so if you're wearing it at work I often take it off, and of course it doesn't always go under a shirt cuff given its height, but it's not the kind of watch where you really want to worry about those things. It is in concept a weekend watch, although obviously you'd wear this all the time if you loved it as much as I think most people who buy it will. And it's very much horses for courses. This is me with my 7-inch wrists. If you're part of the All Black squad, you're going to put this on, it's going to look a whole lot smaller, wear a whole lot smaller for you. Perhaps it's fair to say this is going to be more in its element there. This is a watch built for a rugby player. Now, one thing I do like, conversely, I have always loved about Tudors, is the brilliant tactile feel of the screw down crown, and when you're setting the time, there's a really lovely resistance to the hands that actually I've just not found on any other sort of mainstream watch at this price level. You get such an immediate sense of interacting with an item of quality from doing that simple action alone. I think that's overlooked so often. As for comparisons, what else you might be looking at if you're not looking at this, I have to say, if you're looking at this, you better be quick. I know that they're selling fast. You might look at this and be immediately reminded, as I was, of the Omega Speedmaster Dark Side of the Moon from a few years back. That, however, is more expensive. That's going to be hard to find these days as well. It's a different kettle of fish. That is full ceramic, master coaxial movement, but visually at least, very much on the nose, if you ask me. Similarly, another comparison you may want to make given the movement inside it, Breitling Navitimer, same movement, that will be 6,810 entry price for a B01 43mm on a steel bracelet. Tudor gives you this at 4,260. Now I don't know what you think about the other elements in the equation, the brand, value, the reputation, the styling, whatever, the fact you maybe have we do have a sapphire case back to look at the movement through, but honestly I think there's a price disparity there that's not reflected in the relative quality of the two watches. Ultimately, my thoughts about this have come quite heavily down to the fact that Tudor has started doing limited editions, like obviously everyone else in the entire world. I like that they have worked out how to keep the Black Bay fresh and interesting despite producing a new version roughly every 20 minutes, but I also fear that now they have started doing that, will they be able to stop? What was quite special about Tudor as part of the Rolex sort of family is that limited editions are something they just don't do. Well, now they do.